All right, so this will be the second episode of Rekkid Time with me, Chris. I don't actually even think I introduced myself in the first video. If you haven't watched the first video yet, it was ranking the albums. I did my top 10 Juliana Hatfield albums. Sort of my sweet spot for music is going to be 80s and 90s alternative. I'm not promising I'm limiting myself to that, but that'll probably be the major focus. Um, but I'm going to have a couple other gimmicks besides ranking albums as well. And again, I'm basically ranking albums that the Sea of Tranquility, Pete Pardo is never going to rank because they're not in his classic rock, metal, prog rock, jazz fusion wheelhouse. Um, I have a somewhat different wheelhouse than he does. Today, our gimmick is going to be called Their Latest Record is Great. And so I'm going to focus on people that are probably, they're known as a 90s band, or they're known as an 80s band, or they're known for some time period other than right now. But they've put out a good record right now that you should be listening to. And I may occasionally hit up some newer artists as well. But today is going to be going back to a 90s artist. Um, and so I'm going to do that sometimes. Sometimes I'm going to do sort of like forgotten records. Something that was obscure that I don't think should be obscure, something that people should listen to more. But today, their latest record was great. We're going to do some local H LIFERS. So this album came out in 2019, I believe. Maybe it was 2020, but actually I think it was 20. Yeah, it was 2020. I think it was recorded in 2019. So if you don't know Local H, they're like a great two-piece band. So you see my third band, Flag. Obviously, I like the White Stripes. They're a known two-piece band. But you've got Local H. You've got the guitar player and lead singer, kind of the main guy of the group, Scott Lucas. You have him and a drummer. That's all you have. Ryan Harding's the current drummer. They've gone through a couple drummers. I think way back when they got started out in probably the late 80s, early 90s in the Chicago area, where they're from, they started off as more of a sort of a standard four-piece rock band. At some point, some guys quit, and instead of getting a new bass player, Scott Lucas just got like a weirdly rigged up guitar with like a bass pickup, and he kind of does both roles. And so, what you probably know them most for, if you know them at all, and really until recently, all I really knew them for was kind of their their known song from the 90s, Bound to the Floor, Bound for the Floor, where they they worked that word copacetic into the lyrics a lot. You just can't get it, you keep it copacetic. Um, but they're lifers. I mean, that's what they titled their album. In fact, Scott Lucas has a podcast, and so this guy Gabe Rodriguez has sort of been a long time roadie who's worked with the band. Is on the podcast, and another guy, and they sometimes just talk among themselves or with other sort of lifer people, people that have kind of made their career in the music industry, even though they're not well known. And so I got this record. So you can see it's on a nice, pretty red and black splattered vinyl. And in fact, it is a double disc. And so recording engineer Steve Albini. And maybe if you guys ask me, I'll tell you sometime about. I actually met Steve Albini once. Maybe I'll leave that to another episode to describe, talk about what that was all about. But so side A, very first song is called Patrick Bateman. Hold That Thought, Hide Wide and Low, Turn the Bow. So those are all relatively quick songs in the 3 to 4 minute range. Then side B starts getting a little bit more epic. The 7 minute Beyond the Valley of Snakes. Which, man, that's just a great song. And Sunday Best. Then I know the order on the albums is different than if you get it on CD or I think you can get it on cassette tape as well. Side C starts off with another fairly short song, and this one has Juliana Hatfield. You're going to kind of figure out that she's one of my favorites because they'll probably find lots of ways of working her into videos. But she was on the LIFERS podcast with them one episode, but she does background vocals on this song called Winter Western. There was a video that came out recently, so you might look that up on YouTube. It's kind of an homage to that 70s kids TV show, The Electric Company. And more people should have Juliana Hatfield sing background vocals on their songs because she's pretty good at it. And pretty much whenever she sings background vocals, it's usually for someone cool and it's a cool song. Demon Dreams, Farah, it's getting more and more epic. And then side D, we just end Defy and Surrender. It's a 10-minute song. It's like, is this prog alternative? I mean, these are long, epic songs. And Innocence, the final track. So you've got 11 tracks over 2 discs. This is great stuff. So if you're somebody who's liked Local H, you'll certainly want this. If you're somebody who's never really paid that much attention, but you like good heavy alt rock, you're gonna like this record. So I think this is something you should check out. It's 2020. These guys are still making records as good as they made 25 years ago.